Hello and welcome to the Team Bus. This is the companion podcast to Beyond the Slipstream, our disheveled and free spirited cousin to the main podcast, where we can talk about whatever the heck we feel like talking about. And let me just say right off the bat how thrilled I am to have bike racing back in action, on firing on all cylinders. In years past, it sort of felt like the season really didn't get started until like the spring classics, but now that we're following all this other stuff, it's just like, it's on and it's great. And I'm loving it. So, however, I don't have a whole lot of cycling stuff to talk about today in the team bus, save for the crashing in the second stage of the Tour of Oman. Did you see that?
Apparently no. So
All
yeah,
right. I've never seen anything like this. There were three crashes in the last 50 meters of the race. Like you watch this thing, and there are just dudes going down everywhere. It's crazy. So I haven't done any analysis of what happened or anything, but just watch it. Like it's nuts. The head-on shot, stage two of Tour of Oman is
so you're
nuts.
saying was it like a sprint finish?
Yeah, it was like a
Okay.
sprint, and like there's just shit happening everywhere.
So like in three different parts of like the group, the bunch, the bunch group at the front, you have
Yes.
riders going down. That's
Yes,
crazy.
I'll tell you, just watch it. It's nuts. All right. So the other cycling thing I do want to mention is, I think we talked about the first part of it last week. Egan Bernal just completed the Colombian double. He won both the TT National Championship and the Road National Championship. Did you get a chance to see the finish of the road race?
No, I did not. Like I said, it's been a crazy week for me, so I've really not been into honestly anything other than what we were talking about this week.
Well, I know that you, like me, are a fan of Egan Bernal. Great guy who had an extremely unfortunate accident a few years ago. I mean, like this guy was set to have like an unreal career. I mean, he won the Tour de France, and then he came back the very next year and won the Giro, and then in the run up to the Tour that next year, he had this terrible crash. Uh, Looked like it could have even been career ending. He managed to come back, but he has struggled. However, he has been on a very steadily moving upward trajectory, and so this bodes well. I mean, there was no Santiago Buitrago there to contest the the national championship. We obviously know Buitrago is in great form, so sort of hard to gauge just quite how good he is right now, but he won both of those things in a very convincing fashion. Um, so I'm super stoked to for this win, and also first two wins Ineos has had since like last July. So that's pretty big for them as well. But the great thing, what I loved is it was like Tour de France level of like crowds at the end of this thing. In the final climb, and I mean, there's like guys running beside him, and some kid is like patting him on the back as he's running next to him and stuff. It was great. So good on Egon Bernal.
That's I really like him. I'd like to see him have some more success. He had such great potential, and it's been a rough couple of years for him. But it seems like his form has been really good of late. So
Yeah, he was really good last year. I mean, he didn't get any big results, but he was there or about and very helpful in a team capacity. And that is a rider with zero ego,
yeah,
no ego whatsoever, man. That is a humble dude, and I love him. So, all right, the last cycling thing I want to get into, before we get into some very non-cycling type stuff, is that I don't know, maybe you heard, the Tour de France Unchained. It's
so
going to be
where
done.
I did not see that. So where did you see that at?
Yeah, this is I'm not sure, but I definitely confirmed it from another source. So that is it's pretty confirmed. Like season three will be the last season of Tour de France Unchained, which is very disappointing.
Is it just because it's not popular?
Well, I did read an article that was sort of analyzing why they would make the decision like this, and I think it's really they kind of goofed on how they did it, because by the time you were watching it, right before the upcoming Tour de France, what you're watching happened basically a full year before. and it's just like it's not relevant. Like, yes, it's dramatic or whatever, but for the cycling fans, it's just kind of like it's so long ago that it's like okay, like hardcore fans will like it, but it's just there's no
There's no
stakes there
drama.
really. I mean, there's drama in and of itself, but like it's just happened so far in the past. So a lot of people were saying like they would have done much better to have to drop this thing like you know in late fall or around the holidays or something like that. Like while it's still somewhat fresh, while the
And when there's a drought of the content that those fans are looking for. You're right.
exactly
Like a winter drop, like a mid December or January drop on that would be a lot better because you have nothing to compete with,
right.
as far as that. And when it drops in June, you've got a lot to compete with because there's a lot of cycling stuff going on.
Yeah, so in a sense, they kind of bungled it. But the other thing about it, of course, the comparison you're going to draw is to Drive to Survive. Drive to Survive was a massive hit for Netflix, and it because of that success, they spun out several other things. So there's one of these things about golf. There's one about tennis. There's the Tour de France one, and Drive to Survive is sort of like the original one. Well, the thing that you have in Drive to Survive is personalities that are much bigger uh, and more brash than what you get in the pro peloton. I mean, cyclists for the most part, and this one of the reasons why I love the pro cycling, they're nice guys for the most part. Like they're sweet guys, and like there's camaraderie, and some people don't like that. Some people want cyclists to be more trash talky and more like they don't like the fact that these guys are total buds. Like, after the race, it's like, yeah, you just beat me in this sprint, but like, I'm cool. Like, it's great. Good job, man. Like, people said, oh, it's much better back in the day when these guys were just fucking pissed. And there's no way they'd be over there getting chummy with a guy that just beat him in the sprint. They'd be in the team bus, like pissed off and like, I'm gonna kill that guy tomorrow. Um,
It's
but
like that's because they were all juicing.
and what and in Drive to Survive, like the riders, the drivers in Drive to Survive, they're like that. Like they shit talk. They don't like each other. They're not buddies. They're also making like way, way, way more. So their lifestyles are way more lavish.
Yeah.
You don't get that in cycling as well. You're just watching a bunch of like skinny little monks like
ride
doing these
around on a
bike
bus
races.
in Europe.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So, I mean, it's disappointing, but it doesn't come as a massive surprise. I didn't see this thing just like going on ad infinitum forever, but a little disappointing. I would have liked to have seen 5 or 6, 10 seasons or something.
Do you think that the decision to do it comes after the fact that the tour was essentially boring last year?
That's also very possible. Very possible.
Because
Just like why pour
Pogacar ran away with it, and there was really no drama as far as the actual winning of the race was concerned. That like you're gonna have like they also could see that being a pattern. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were talking about how like with like Drive to Survive, like the F1 season, it's just like 20 races
Yeah.
or something like that. Like it's a very finite amount of stuff. And because of that, there's just built-in drama.
Yeah.
So
Um,
rest in peace, Tour de France Unchained. We're gonna get one final season, and it's probably gonna be pretty freaking boring.
do you? So I have a cycling thing that I just thought of. Did you see Tadej Pogacar riding on the Ehrenberg?
Yeah, but I think we talked about that last week.
Did we? I
Yeah,
don't
I
think we
think
did because that just happened this week. You and
I
I may
thought
have
you
talked
mentioned.
about it.
No,
Like,
I think you mentioned it last week.
oh,
I'm pretty sure.
I mentioned the change in the course last week.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
no.
Yeah.
Tadej Pogacar wrote it like earlier this week, and one of his teammates like filmed him like on the side
Yeah.
profile running up.
Tim Wellens.
Yeah.
I would say if you ask me, 100% he's going to Paris Roubaix. 100%.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I think that does it. does it take the interesting out of Paris-Roubaix, or do you think it'll? I mean, like,
Oh,
so you know, you would assume that it's going to be him and Vanderpool, right? Like that's the
well,
showdown.
Wow, Van Aert's there. I mean, Wow's been very public about it. Pidcock's going to be there, I think. Um, so it's
Fireworks.
yeah, I cannot wait for the classics this year.
Um,
Um,
I will say, watching him just ride it on the best part with nobody around him, is a very different, than riding it the day of, and the cobbles looked pretty dry. Like if they're wet, oof, that could be such
yeah, I mean
such a
he was
brutal
fine,
spot, man. I
but
can't wait for that.
he also won the cobble stage of the Tour de France from a couple of years ago, like the last time they did it, and like absolutely like slaughtered everybody on it. So it's like he is not incapable
I
of
mean, I
doing
don't
this.
think there's anything that Tadej Pogacar can't do at this point. I mean, outside of
Yeah,
a couple of races that don't suit his style of racing, but he could easily change that in the future.
yeah. I mean, you should listen to the Chris Horner thing about it because like he was speculating like there is a not zero possibility that this guy could win all five monuments in one year because it looks like he's gonna do all five monuments, and it's like, okay, MSR, that's probably the biggest hurdle. Horner was saying like it has got to be team tactics that are the thing that's going to win that race for him. Like they have got to soften up the sprinters that could beat them. They have to. Um, then it's
And
and
he
then
probably
it's
has to do like a late launch where he, like a late solo attack to where he can get ahead of it.
right. So if he gets that, all right, so he's got that one in the bag. Then it's Paris-Roubaix, entirely capable of winning Paris-Roubaix. He is as good as Vanderpool. Um, After that, it's on to Tour of Flanders. He's already won that, right? So there's no question there that he can win that. Then it's on to Liège. He's already won that, no question that. And then of all five monuments, the one that suits him the best is Lombardia. He's won it four times or something. So that could happen. Like there's nothing this guy couldn't do. And I mean, he could have won all three Grand Tours in the same year last year.
I still contend that he should have gone to the Volta and tried to do it, but you know,
I mean, it's hard to argue with like the fact that he did nail his goal that he had, which was the World Championship. So got that rainbow. Maybe he wanted to win all three Grand Tours while wearing the rainbow jerseys. I'm gonna hold off on that.
I don't know. Like you're right. It's I don't know. I think that you get as far as that's concerned. I just don't know that you put a year together the way that he did with those two Grand Tours and come out of it the way that he looked, and not look at it and go, should I do this thing that will probably never ever be done again? But whatever. I root for greatness in that sense. To me, that would have been the ultimate like the ultimate fuck you to to Visma winning all three Grand Tours the year before. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it'd have been such a cool statement. I don't know. I'm crazy. Call me crazy. What else do you What else do you want to talk about?
Actually, looking at my list, I did have one more cycling thing, which is the Tour of Murcia, which is called a tour, but it's a 1 day race. Um, and I just watched the finish of it. There was like a 10 rider breakaway in the front. UAE had three guys in the final, like in this group, and as they're going into the finish, there's like a bus lane off to the side, and like inexplicably, what's his name, Del Toro, swerves off into the bus lane and rides down the bus lane and then jumps back into the group. And I don't know if he lost any positions doing that or what, but they fucking blew it like they were nowhere near. And I should have written the guy's name down, but I would just watch it like right before we started. But Q36.5 gets another win. This team is slaying it right now. That they've got I think that puts them at 5 wins this year, and plus a stage race win because
Yes.
Pidcock won the Alula Tour.
Yeah.
So
And
like I am
he
loving
won
that.
2 stages in the Alula Tour too.
Yeah, so he won 2 stages, and then another Q36 guy won another stage in that race, and then this guy just won that one, and I think somebody else won another one someplace
Yeah,
else.
something in
I think there are five.
Australia or
Yeah, something like that. um, so they're at 5 wins. Pidcock is looking great. Like it's clicking over there. I cannot wait to see what happens with
yeah.
that team this year.
It's
So
amazing
that's
what happens when the mental health gets better, right?
Yep, it's true, man. You get the right situation, things can really change. All right, so I'll stay on sports for now, but we're switching to track and field. Um, uh, do you happen to see the men's Olympic 1500? Do you recall this race? All right,
No.
amazing race. It was an amazing race last summer. Of course, we watched a lot of Olympics last summer with it being on Peacock and all. So the men's 1500. It was won by this American dude named Cole Hocker. There was I think he was, I want to say he was either a Danish or like a Norwegian guy that was heavily favored to win this race. And there was an Australian dude that was like the second favorite, and I think Cole Hocker may have been third. Um, the Danish guy didn't even medal. He was just like, he's like this like gorgeous, like just perfectly chiseled jaw, like white dude of a Dane, like a classic, perfect hair and everything. And he got smoked. Cole Hawker's win was absolutely incredible. I've watched this race like 10 times since then. It's just like so great. But sneaking in for a third place was another American, this guy named Yared Nuguse. The goose is loose, right? He looks like Arsenio Hall's like nephew or something like that. He's got this like just beautiful, like just happy look about him, wide eyed. And I just happen to see that he is the current holder of the mile world record. He just won at the Wanamaker Games, which is like just some track tournament that comes up every year. He took the win in the men's mile and is the mile record holder. I am not sure.
You don't know.
I did not record it. But go check it out. It's a great race, and he's a great guy. His name is Yared Nuguse. The mile record at the Wanamaker Games just happened like the past week. Love that guy. All right. Did you of course you caught the Super Bowl, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Did you watch the Super Bowl last week?
Yes,
garbage, total garbage game. Like what a massive disappointment. At the very least, I thought we were going to get like a great game out of it. I knew the Eagles were up to the challenge, and like, and the final score belies what happened in that game. Like they got the Chiefs got 2 like trash touchdowns at in the end of the game, fourth quarter.
They were literally shown to be fraudulent.
Yeah, it was really, really insane. However, at the complete opposite end of the spectrum, in my opinion, was Kendrick Lamar's halftime show, which I thought was awesome.
Amazing. I loved it. I was, going into it, I thought, like, how do you have a halftime show in New Orleans and not have Lil Wayne in there? But it was really good, man. Like, I thought artistically it was like very eye-catching. I was mesmerized by it.
The camera work was so impressive.
The dance work, the camera work, everything, dude. I mean, it's the halftime show at the Super Bowl is always good. It's always something to see. But
what did you think of the Drake stuff? Like, I mean, that's what everybody's talking about. It's like this is like sort of like the final crowning glory of like Kendrick's win in the beef with Drake.
I mean, and they told him not to do it, and he did it anyway. So who cares?
It was almost, I was a bit surprised that he was almost like gloating. He mentioned him by name, like he literally said something like "Hey Drake" or something like that. Like, I mean, he really went hard on it. And then like the cherry was Serena Williams showing up.
Being there, yeah. You know,
she's over there trip
look,
walking.
man,
I
he
mean,
wrote the
incredible.
song. He wanted to, they asked him to perform the halftime show. He's going to do the song. I respect him for not caving to the pressure of people telling him not to do something. So, you know, you know, I,
Hopefully it's done.
I,
The whole beef thing is done. Like it's like enough. Like this is you've done it. This you on the world's biggest stage.
yeah,
You have
you got
buried.
you got your smirk. Move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, the smirk exactly.
You
But
know the part that I just love was when him and Mustard were like dancing like in the center. They were like going like around, and the way the camera was like
yeah,
rolling
yeah.
with them. Damn, man, I was like, this shit looks so cool. And then
Uh,
the way the people were shaped were like they're like the
the
they
Xbox controller,
the controller for the PlayStation.
yeah, or
Yeah.
PlayStation. Yeah, yeah. That was yeah, it was super cool, man. And I've seen some like videos that people shot from like the upper reaches of the stadium, keying in on the camera guys, and you see these like the camera dudes, or there's like two guys, like one of them's got that massive camera that's like, that's like on a giant rig or whatever they call those things, and there's a guy behind him that's like working the cables and stuff. And I mean, they are as much a part of the choreography as any dancer on that field. Like they have
Absolutely.
got to be at the right spot, and like it's so impressive. Like I saw a video, it's like this cameraman is insane, and they're just like focusing on the camera guy, from like way up in the stadium and not on what's going on. And you're like, that's amazing,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing, super cool show. All right, last thing we're going to talk about here, because we're about to be out of time, is uh next week we're talking SNL. Tonight Sunday is the big
Yes.
final, the 50th anniversary show. It's a 3-hour special on Peacock
And
from
it's
8
live.
to 11 Eastern time. Yeah. um in the run up, they've been putting out all this other content. So on Friday night, they had like the concert. It was like the 50th anniversary concert. Um, I started watching it last night. Of course, I'm going to watch the whole thing. I definitely recommend it. They got a bunch of big people on there. I didn't see the whole thing, but a little hit or miss for me. Like it started off with like Jimmy Fallon doing the Belushi Aykroyd, like Blues Brothers thing, with like 20 dancers on stage that were also like dressed like the Blues Brothers or whatever, and it was all right. And then they go to, I think they go to like Miley Cyrus, and she was doing she was playing with Brittany Howard from Alabama Shakes, and they were doing a cover song that was pretty damn good. And then it was like Bad Bunny, and he's like a Latin crooner. I don't know. I thought he was a rapper. Like I thought he was like more of like a Latin rapper or whatever. But he was like in a suit, like doing this, blah, doo, 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 blah. And he did 2 songs, and I was like, this is so boring. Like, please get this over with. Like, I was bored to tears for like 10 solid minutes. Then Eddie Vedder comes out, and he was pretty awesome. And maybe it's just me, because like I'm an old white guy, and I'm gonna like Eddie Vedder more than the people that are watching for Bad Bunny. But so I'm gonna watch the whole thing. But we started watching, and then I ended up watching the concert, because I thought I was watching the concert. I was going to the concert when we started watching. We sort of like started while we were eating some food, and then we moved upstairs and put it on. What we started watching was the documentary that Questlove put out about music on Saturday Night Live. Not a concert, it's a documentary about like the history of all the performances.
I've heard about this movie.
Bruh, that's the first thing I'm going back and watching, because it was just we watched maybe the first 15 minutes of this thing, and it was so freaking cool. Like it just starts off with this montage where it's like you got one classic performance playing, and then like boom, this other one comes in, and it's like they're like DJ mixing it. So it's like the two are like playing with each other. Like it was amazing. So huge recommendation on that. Big recommendation on the concert. Watch it with the fast forward button in hand. If there's artists that you're not into or whatever, that's fine. Watch the interstitial stuff. For one thing that was cool is like Fred Armisen's playing drums with like a lot of these, but like I think Fred Armisen was playing drums with the Miley Cyrus, Brittany Howard thing, And then they had a thing with Devo, and Fred Armisen was playing with Devo. He was the drummer for Devo. So
Like
that's kind of cool.
playing a kit.
Yes, like full blown. He's the drummer. Like that guy can play drum.
That's
So
crazy. I feel like I knew that he played like, I feel like I've seen him play like bongos or something like that, but I didn't.
and he can play
know that.
guitar. He's a super talented musician. So, anyways, well, that kind of takes us to the end of our time here. But
Yeah,
check out Saturday Night Live tonight for sure, and look forward
Absolutely.
next week. We're going to be recapping it on the main show. So that is all for the Team Bus this week. We'll see you next time.
Later.